Do you have any Christmas traditions? Can you think back to when you were younger and what you did as a kid? How long do those traditions last? It's funny, when we think about that word tradition, we think about something that has happened for perhaps many, many years. And yet I have found, as I have grown older, when it comes to Christmas time, my traditions have changed. When I was young, growing up in rural Washington State, my Christmas tradition centered around often playing in the snow and going down the sled hill behind our house. And it was waking up on Christmas Day and opening gifts, just the four of us, then quickly getting into the car and driving 3.5 hours north so we could be with my grandpa and grandma and visit our cousins and open gifts together and again, play out in the snow in the street near their house. When we moved to Montana when I was in high school, our traditions changed, however. We were no longer close enough to grandpa and grandma to go and be with them or my other cousins. Now it was just my immediate family. But snow was still a part of the tradition, as after Christmas we might go cross-country skiing near our house, or perhaps the ponds were frozen, spend time ice skating with my brother for hours and hours. Then, as I grew older and met my wife, I moved to sunny California. Snow was no longer a big part of the tradition on Christmas time or Christmas Day. And no longer was I with my grandpa and grandma. I was also no longer close enough to my immediate family, my parents or my brother. So no longer saw them at Christmas. Instead, my tradition shifted towards my wife's family's traditions, with her parents and her sister and family. And then afterwards, going and meeting her cousins and aunts and uncles at their annual reunion Christmas tradition. Then along came our children, and traditions changed yet again as we had to pack packages and put up trees and get ready for them so that we could make Christmas happen. Now that my kids are older, though, I like to sleep in a little more, and our traditions changed once again from the early morning ritual to something closer to perhaps towards, maybe lunchtime or a brunch time, and opening our gifts at that time. Yes, Christmas traditions have changed a lot as I've grown older, yet one thing has stayed the same, and that is making sure we hear the story of Christmas at Christmas time.
Some of my favorite Christmas traditions were actually getting ready for Christmas. When we were setting up the Christmas tree in our house the day after Thanksgiving, that was very much a tradition. We'd light the fireplace if it was cold enough. We would put up our big tree and put garland all over the house. And that same weekend was the Ohio State-Michigan game, and I just loved all of that energy. It was so much fun. And then as Christmas got closer, my parents worked in hospitals, so we were always, waiting to see who was working when to decide when we could have Christmas and what that was going to look like, if it was going to be dinner or breakfast, and if Dad was going to have to go to bed right after we opened all of our Christmas presents and how quietly we had to play with them so that he could get enough sleep. All of those traditions I have very, very fond memories of. But as I got older and as I got married and moved all over the country, I had to make room for new traditions, right? I had to be open to what possibilities there could be. And so sometimes it was taking some of the old and combining it with the new. Sometimes it was creating something completely new. And sometimes it was losing some of the old. But as we moved all around the country, we went from having a real fireplace to having one like this. We went from having a very tiny little Christmas tree in our tiny little apartment to having this beautiful thing in our living room. We went from having a fairly normal size nativity to collecting little miniature ones because those are ones we can pack up and take anywhere we need to go. But no matter what, the thing that carries through no matter where we are, no matter where we're living, no matter who we're with, is we always find that Christmas Eve service to go to. It helps that, I work for the church, so there's always one, right? There's always one that I'm a part of. But my husband has come to all the Christmas Eve services I've ever done, and we celebrate together in that way. Right? We are together in those times, even though I'm busy running around doing tons and tons of things. We eat together, we snack together in between services, and we go home at the end of the night completely exhausted and wake up the next day with this wonderful sense of peace. right? We went from this extravagant joy of the night before to this morning filled with peace and calm, where we sleep in and we have breakfast together and we think about the peace of Christ, right? And the joy that has come among us, the good news of Jesus among us. That's the important piece of this holiday that carries through no matter where we are, no matter who we're with.
A poem by Reverend Sarah Speed, Muscle Memory. When the world falls apart around me, when the rug is pulled and the house is on fire, when all I can do is swallow the cry in my throat, take me to the table. Tell me how people have fed each other, how they've torn the bread with wrinkled hands, with children's hands. Tell me how they've said, "This love is for you," as they look you in the eye. Then take me to the font, float my hands in the pool, let me feel weightless. Tell me to leave my burdens there, then take me to the front doors, remind me how to throw them open. Take me to the creaky pews, pews that have held the straightened spines and silent prayers of so many. Take me to the church, move me through the rituals, tell me why it matters, so that next time, when someone else's world falls apart, I will have the muscle memory to share.
So no matter how traditions change, no matter how the world ebbs and flows, we always come back here, right? We are always brought back here on Christmas to this core message of God being with and among God's beloved people to show us what love is and what love could be.
We hope you have a Christmas day filled with joy and peace.
Merry Christmas!